Eddie, thank you so much for joining me again. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, busy as normal. Plenty of meetings for the rest of the day, but lovely to talk to people like yourselves, Nicki, on and not have to sit looking at other members of committees.
Oh, bless you. I know. I mean, we talked last year, didn't we, about the unprecedented times for dentistry, and oh my word, it continues.
I've got so much admiration for members of the profession there. I listened to a debate last night in Parliament, and the Minister Maria Caulfield was praising the dental profession, and I think she was right to do that because we have all stepped up to the plate, but it's exhausting, isn't it? And working flat out as most practices have and adapting to it. It's just been exhausting for everyone, and setting targets that are just that far ahead that you know that many practices are going to struggle, and that's not doing the mental health of the profession much good at the moment.
No, it really isn't, Eddie. And when you look at statistically how many dentists have left the NHS, 1,000 dentists last year. I'm seeing it all over social media, dental nurses finding other vocations because the stress is immense and the pay is so poor in relative terms. When you compare even working in a supermarket, my teenage girls were earning more than a dental nurse cleaning last summer. It's just unsustainable, isn't it?
I mean, last Thursday was really quite unprecedented in my view. I mean, both on ITV and BBC and across loads and loads of radio channels. I think the BDA had about 360 episodes of contact with the media last Thursday about those stats about people leaving the profession. But for every person on the performance list that left, and those 1,000 are a worry for the NHS, many more are working far less in the NHS, so they're staying on the performance list, but they might only be working one session a week.
Absolutely.
And as a consequence, the whole time equivalence of dentists, and you're right, ancillary staff, and the worry over the horizon of the mandatory vaccination, all of that is just adding to the stress and the worry of the profession at the moment.
Absolutely. And it's just been announced, hasn't it, that there's going to be a £50 million investment into dentistry. But as far as I understand, Eddie, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's in addition to the contracts that are currently in place. So potentially staff will be asked to work on weekends, evenings. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. And that is the worry because, practices are chasing targets. Actually, it's stretching their hours to actually hit that target to avoid clawback. We've got a workforce that is exhausted. I mean, 50 million is a step in the right direction, but it's nowhere near the amount of investment that's needed. We've lost about 890 million in real terms in investment in dentistry per year. Step in the right direction. It's going to be a great benefit, obviously, for patients who are struggling if colleagues are able to provide additional services to actually help them. Certainly, it's been welcomed by Health Watch this morning. We need significantly more interest in improving the situation, not only for patients, and this will help, but, unless we get contractual change quickly, those 1,000 will be just a small number in comparison to the volume of colleagues I'm hearing are thinking of no longer staying in NHS dentistry.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had a contract that's not been fit for purpose since 2006. That's a long time to be working within a system that really isn't working for either for the profession or in the oral health of the country and the care of the patient. I used to work in physiotherapy years ago, Eddie, and we saw the agenda for change a good long time before dentistry, and all our work as physios started to be target driven, and then it happened in dentistry, and it is not good for the safe delivery of care either. When everybody's overwhelmed, everybody's buckets are full, and they're working against those pressures. Why is it we've been working under this system for so long, Eddie? You know.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's really demoralised, well, certainly 100 practices that have been involved in the prototypes, is that from April the 1st, the prototypes are ending.
Yes.
The quality of care that they were able to provide for patients in the prototypes was without doubt much better than it was in the UDA system. But they actually wanted more patients to be seen, and they thought that risk assessing patients would actually free up the appointment book. Send more people away. What they were actually finding in the prototypes is that there was a huge volume of patients that needed far more treatment. And then that didn't fit their criteria of improving access with the same amount of budget. It was never going to work. Despite all the skill mix that was introduced in many of those practices, many showed real innovation. And that is demoralizing to the profession that thought that we were heading in a direction that was probably better, and that hasn't come to fruition.
Absolutely. And, it's going to be a self-perpetuating downward spiral, I think, with this investment's great, as you say, Eddie, and it's going in the right direction. But we've already got a profession whose buckets are overflowing, they're overwhelmed, they're exhausted. We're going to have more people leaving the profession if they're stretched even further to increase accessibility of services.
Yeah, I mean, that is a real worry. I mean, we've recently, after the announcement of the 85% target in England, the BDA had about 2,000 respondents to a survey that we've done. Some of the results of that show an angry profession, a profession that's actually more inclined to take some sort of industrial action even.
Yes.
They're so angry. But it does also show a worrying trend of a lot of people thinking of retiring early or thinking about other careers. We know that a huge majority of our younger colleagues have a completely different portfolio type career to the ones. I qualified in 1984, and virtually everyone in my year worked full time, in the NHS for long periods of time. Our younger colleagues don't see that, and training more dentists is one thing, but keeping them in the profession is another. And you can't suddenly turn on the tap of dentists because it takes a long time to actually provide that, and even ancillary staff, to actually get them trained and into a position where they're really supporting patient care takes some time, and losing one or two is just it takes maybe years to replace.
Absolutely. And I think there's two trends that I'm seeing as I go into practices and deliver consultancy. The first is after the foundation year, we're seeing lots of young dentists who are setting up their own practice but purely private. They're never touching the NHS realms of dentistry. That's the straight into private delivery, and setting up small corporates as well, because they really are investing their time and energy and money into delivering really great quality services. And that's fantastic to see, but to the detriment of NHS delivery. The other thing I'm seeing is because nurses are leaving, in their flocks, we've got a lot of apprentice nurses coming in without the qualified nurses to supervise them. It's so difficult, and then they're asked to deliver a private dentistry because that's the way it's all going.
Yeah,
it's.
We have got a crisis. I mean, I know the BDA have been criticised for overuse of the word crisis, but it is completely a crisis. We are in a situation. Oh, sorry, I've got someone.
That's all right.
It's media, I think, because of the announcement today.
Absolutely. Well, I won't keep you too long, Eddie. I'm just very grateful that you're talking to me this morning with everything that's going on in your world.
I should have turned my phone off. I apologise.
Oh, don't worry. It's all real life. So, obviously we see what's happening in the media, we hear day to day what's going on. I mean, obviously you're a hugely busy man, Eddie. How are you envisaging the future, and how's the BDA supporting our profession to get us where we need to be?
Right. From the BDA point of view, our PEC meeting next week is actually setting a strategy for the BDA for the next 3 years. And what we've done over we extended. We have a 3-year triennium at the BDA, but because of the pandemic, we extended that for a year. We've been consulting with all our committees about where the priorities for the BDA need to be over the next 3 years. And next week, we're hoping to actually formally put into place some of the ideas that we've got about how we can support the profession going forward. What we've also got is Sean Charwood, from chair of the General Dental Practice Committee, having regular negotiations now with NHS England over hopefully some improvements to the contract in time for April the 1st, so that people working from April the 1st will work to better terms and conditions than they have done previously in the UDA contract. And longer term, there are negotiations going on about significant contract reform. Again, listening to Maria Caulfield last night, she made the sort of statements that she wants the NHS NHS dentistry, a place that dentists want to work in. And we're quite happy to work with people who have that mindset, but we need more than words. We need actions to go alongside that. We can't be unambitious with what we need to do. We have to be very ambitious because it needs a radical overlook.
Absolutely, I totally agree, Eddie, and I think the work you're doing is absolutely amazing. So, please keep going, please, keep doing what you're doing, and many congratulations on your nomination for Dentistry's Top 50 again. For me, you get my vote every time.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get everything right at the BDA. We know that. We get things wrong. We get criticised for it. I'm a person that takes criticism on the chin and tries to make the BDA a better place for everyone. We need to encourage far more younger colleagues into the BDA. We need to support our associates better. We know we have to do that. Let's hope we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Eddie, thank you very much. I'll let you get back to your media calls. And thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Great. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah, you too, Eddie. Take care.